I hope you all had a great Memorial Day, gave thought and prayer to those who died in the line of duty for our country. They are our most important public servants. And so, too, in theory, are judges, particularly federal judges. But as Thomas Jefferson said, unelected, unaccountable to the people, they would be no more honest than any other man, causing us to shed the blood of patriots yet again every 20 years or so, adding what's a few thousand dead to preserve the tree of liberty. Well, we're talking about a state judge now. And although state judges generally are accountable to the people, they have to be reelected, and that keeps them somewhat honest, somewhat, I might add. You have this judge in New York City who we have filed an ethics complaint against him, Judge Juan Merchan, who is perverting the judicial system there. He's about ready to give jury instructions once closing arguments are over. The state, if you want to use the term loosely, is presenting argument over 4.5 hours. I've never heard of that in the entire history of any case like this, which is not exactly rocket science. It's not antitrust, it's not tax, it's not patent, and even then I've never heard of that. And consequently, Trump has got his back up against a wall. Now, whether or not he's found guilty, acquitted, or there's a hung jury, I might add maybe a well-hung jury is more appropriate in this instance. The fact is that this has been a travesty of a mockery, of a travesty of a sham of justice. I'm going to put up, as I do frequently, a trailer from Woody Allen's movie Bananas. It's a parody on the way the legal system is. And in many ways, Trump is in the position of Woody Allen in this movie. And there's a scene where he asks about the jury. And the jury, as you'll see later in the clip, is passing around marijuana. Well, in New York City, that wouldn't surprise me in terms of their mental state of mind. This jury is obviously far left. It's far left in the District of Columbia with regard to J6 protesters. And if anyone ever had any doubts of what I've been saying now for decades, that our legal system has become increasingly corrupt, it does not represent the interests of the American people. It is a very dangerous situation because if you cannot resolve disputes peacefully and legally in court, the only option is violent revolution, which is what Jefferson was predicting could occur. Now, he didn't want to see that happen, and neither do I. And that's why we're fighting to prevent that. But that's a reality. So keep it in mind as the jury goes out to deliberate later today. God knows how long they'll take to reach a decision. I don't think probably very long at all. That's my guess. Cannot predict what's going to happen. The evidence is strongly in favor of President Trump, but you're dealing here with a New York jury, ultra left. Same thing if it was District of Columbia. It'd even be worse. Look at what's going on with the J6 protesters. Some protester was just convicted for wearing a panda suit, if you can believe that, during January 6th. This is what we're dealing with today, and it's why I urge you to go to freedomwatchusa.org, contribute to our cause. I'm the founder of Judicial Watch. What does the name mean? Watching judges. We do more than watch judges. We have filed complaints against Judge Juan Merchan. We have filed complaints against Judge Erganon. We have filed complaints against Tanya Chutkan. We have filed complaints against Colleen Kohler-Kitelli. All the last three dealing with January 6th issues. We need to make sure that we have the most honest, ethical people that we can on the bench. And that is why we also have our Third Continental Congress, where we're declaring independence, not a new nation, but a new government, because we need to take immunity away from judicial officers. It's abused, not just by judges, but by prosecutors. They gave it to themselves. We cannot have that in this country. Everybody needs to be held accountable. Or for that matter, even presidents should not have immunity. I'm against what's going on at the Supreme Court because presidents need to be held accountable. Now, Trump is innocent, but quite apart from that, they need to play by the same rules that we play by. And you can see Joe Biden, a criminal of the highest magnitude, taking bribes from communist China, Ukraine, and Russia, committing negligent homicide with regard to Ukraine, Russia, Afghanistan. He needs to be held accountable as well. But he's not going to be held accountable because the establishment circles the wagons and protects itself no matter whether you're Democrat or Republican. There, by the grace of God, go thee. And it's why Freedom Watch has citizens' grand juries and citizens' trials. We have tried Biden. He's been found guilty of bribery and negligent homicide. He was sentenced to 20 years along with his brother and son. and we are seeking to have law enforcement peacefully and legally carry it out. So if you're willing to do it peacefully and legally and you are established law enforcement with a license, contact us. That's the litmus test for being able to enforce a judgment, a criminal judgment, against anyone by virtue of a citizen's grand jury and a citizen's trial. God bless you. God bless America. Remember, the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves. It's time to rise up. Our country has nearly slipped away. 4 more years of Joe Biden, and I'm not telling you who to vote for. You probably can figure out who I vote for. But 4 more years of Joe Biden or his predecessor, his successor rather, Kamala Harris, and this country will be completely gone. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Until then, thank you for listening to me.
Fielding Mellish, the president of San Marcos, goes on trial tomorrow for fraud, inciting to riot, conspiracy to overthrow the government, and using the word thighs in mixed company.
Please rise. Court is now in session. Judge Seymour Watson presiding. The People versus Fielding Mellish.
I object, Your Honor. This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of 2 mockeries, of a sham. I move for a mistrial. You realize there's not a single homosexual on that jury?
Yes, there is.
Oh, really? Which one? Is it the big guy at the end?
Call the first witness.
And you remember Fielding Mellish?
He's got a record. He was always being picked up at one demonstration or another. He's a bad apple, a commie, a New York Jewish intellectual communist crackpot. I mean, I don't want to cast no aspersions.
Your witness.
Officer Dowd, have you ever had sexual relations with a girl with really big breasts?
Yes, sir, I did.
Mm-hmm. And how did you find it?
Very erotic.
I was just checking.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Name?
J. Edgar Hoover,
Occupation?
head of the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
You tell the court why you're dressed like this.
I have many enemies, and I rarely go out unless I'm in disguise.
Mr. Hoover, in your opinion, is Fielding Mellish a threat to the security of the United States?
Enough to have his phone tapped.
Hello? Hello, who is this? Who is this? Hello, who is this? Can you hold on 1 second? Walter, it's for you!
All right! I did it! I did it! I'm guilty! But I couldn't take it anymore. She kept tormenting me, edging me on, making a fool of me!
Isn't this Epstein versus Epstein? I'm sorry,
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I've known Fielding Mellish for years, and he's a warm, wonderful human being.
Would the clerk read that statement back, please?
I've known Fielding Mellish for years, and he is a rotten, conniving, dishonest little rat.
Okay, I just want to make sure you were getting it.
You're out of order.
Name?
Sharon Craig,
And you are?
Miss America.
Oh mio bambino caro, mi piace bello, bello, vondare in Porta Rossa, a camperà l'anello, sì, ci voglio andare, e se l'ama se
Tell the court why you think he is a traitor to this country.
I think Mr. Mellish is a traitor to this country because his views are different from the views of the president and others of his kind. Differences of opinion should be tolerated, but not when they're too different. Then he becomes a subversive mother.
Call Fielding Mellish.
Mr. Mellish, what is your nationality? Well, you might say I have two nationalities. Are you being coy? Well, I am an American citizen and also the president of San Marcos. I would not joke with this court if I were you. Wouldn't you, or couldn't you?
That's enough.
Does the code name Sapphire mean anything to you? I swear to God. You swear to God, and yet you have no compunction about teaching evolution. Where were you on the night of June 23rd?
Since you cannot resist disrupting the court, I order the marshal to bind and gag you.
And so you followed Fielding Mellish and overheard him make treasonous remarks about this country.
I did.
Your witness.
Yes, I did. No. I don't remember. No. Don't put words in my mouth. Yes. Yes, it's true. I lied.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will retire for your verdict.